Today's challenge is to take this mandrel here. This is a mandrel for 7/8 inch tube. This is a 7/8 inch aluminum tube, and this tube just fits in that mandrel there. And this mandrel is a 4.5 inch bending diameter here for 7/8 inch tube. I need to get this mandrel onto this gearbox here. This gearbox is a WG262 with a 60-to-1 ratio. It's from Automation Direct, and it has a 1.125" shaft on there with a 1/4 inch keyway. This thing here has a 1 inch 1 inch diameter hole, and has several of these holes here, and these holes are on 3 inch centers, and they're each 1 inch here. So somehow I have to make a 1 1/8 inch diameter hole out of a 1 inch hole and get a 1/4 inch keyway in there, and I'm going to work on that today. Here's the mandrel I've modeled up here in SolidWorks, and the part I'm going to try and do, I'm going to make a fixture that's going to fit on here, and there's going to be a shaft that goes through the center here, and one shaft that goes through here, and one shaft that goes through here, and that way I'm going to be able to mount that to my lathe, and then I'll be able to mount this thing on the lathe, and then get that hole in there, and I think I'll get that keyway in there on the lathe too, and I'll show you how I'll do that. So we'll start with a new part here, and on the front layer, because I'm going to do it on the plasma cutter again, I'm going to start with a 1 inch hole here, and then I'm going to go, I'm going to make a 1 inch hole here, and a 1 inch hole here, and then I'm going to connect them together with some center lines here. Oh, lost that. And we'll add some mates there. That one's already horizontal, or some restrictions. It's vertical. We'll make this one 3 inches long, and this one 3 inches long. And then I guess the shape we'll put on there, I'm not sure what shape I want this to be. I think I'm going to start with a shape about like this. And I don't know what I want to do here exactly. Something like that to get started, and then we'll add some constraints here. Get everybody tangent that needs to be tangent if they're not already. Some of them are tangent already. You can see there's a little symbol for tangent there, but there's not one on this one, so I'll make that one tangent. And then this one here is tangent, tangent. Did we check that one? Yes. Okay, so we're all tangent all the way around. And then I can make this and this concentric. We'll do that for all of them as well. All right. Let's try and put some dimensions on these parts here, and see if it'll let me. 1.5 there. I think that's gonna be okay. Let's try that. I'm gonna extrude out a 1/4 inch. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use 1/4 inch plate or 3/16 plate on the plasma cutter, but this will be fine. Then we're gonna save it here. Let's save it as Mandrel mount. Let's call it that, Mandrel mount. And then we want to do, let's do an assembly here. And we'll put our Mandrel mount in there. This Mandrel mount, let's see, I think we'll just leave it fixed there. We'll put the Mandrel on there. We'll mate this onto there. Oh, why didn't it take that? I don't know. We'll do that. And then I think I want, oh yeah, we'll take that. I think I want this one. Guess he's fixed there. Guess it doesn't matter which one it goes to. Either one of those will be fine. So it looks like it's going to line up on there. Now we'll just make a couple of changes here. So this hole here isn't going to be an inch. I'm actually going to put a piece of pipe in there that measures 1.888 exactly. But then we're going to add about 20 thousandths there of clearance to that hole. Let's remake that. So that pipe will fit on there, and I'll be able to, when I weld that pipe in there, I'll be able to grab onto it with the lathe, and then the boring tool or the drill bit will fit through there. These holes here, I want to add a little bit of clearance. We're going to add about 20 thousandths of clearance there, so we get a little bit of clearance around there, and that will help the shafts fit in there nice. So let's make sure that all looks okay. 1.02, 1.02, 1.91. Yep, that looks good. All right. So I think we'll save that. I think we'll save all. Let's open this part. I think that looks like it's ready to go to the plasma cutter. So we got to save it as a DXF. So what I want to do here is I'll get normal to it, and I'll save as a DXF. You can save it like this. I'm going to call it Mandrel mount, or you can do it in a drawing. I like to do it like this. So we're going to take the current view here, and that's why I got normal to it, and we'll say yes to that, and I think it's thinking about it, and oh, there we go. That didn't look good for a second, but this looks good. We could remove some entities if we want, but this all looks fine. And there's our DXF file. So we'll be back in a second here on the plasma cutter software. This is SheetCam. This is the plasma cutter software I use. You can get a free copy, or this you can get a license for 170 bucks. And then it allows you to do more points. So we'll find our mandrel here. We'll bring it in an inch. We'll put it in this corner. There it is. And we're going to change the layers here. We'll move to a new layer. We'll call this one outside. We'll call this one holes. And then this one, we're going to move this one to the holes layer and this one to the holes layer. Then we'll check if it's okay. The outside layer is good and the holes are on the layer. Here's some tools I have pre-made here to do some other stuff. There's the plasma tool we're going to use here in a second. So we're going to start with our inside offset first, obviously. We're going to go on the holes. We don't want to cut out the part before we cut the holes out. The speed, I guess we've got to decide what thickness material we're going to use. I think I am going to use 1/4 inch, so so 40 inches per minute here will be fine because I'll use about 50 amps on the plasma cutter. So I think that's going to be okay. We'll go with the reverse direction. Do a lead in on the arc here, so that it's going to cut counterclockwise, and my plasma cutter likes cutting that way. So that's the holes, and then we got to add a new cut here, outside offset. On the outside, we're going to go the same speed. We're going to do a lead-in arc as well. So I put my lead-in arc over here, but I don't like it there. So when I'm on this, get on this tool here, and I'll go over here to start, and I don't want my lead-in to be on a flat thing here. I want my lead-in to be here because I'm going to start with a piece and it's going to have a corner on it, and I'm going to start in the corner, and then that way I won't waste any material. So this, I'm going to just zoom out a bit here. I think this looks okay. So there's the start points for that operation, and there's the start point for that operation, and it looks okay. So I'm going to post this, and we'll just post it here, Mandrel mount dot tap. Let's take a peek at it here. And just see how it looks. This all looks okay. What I'm looking for here is to see what the start height's going to be. We're going to cut at 60 thousandths here. It's going to try and initiate the arc at 12,000 or 120 thousandths, and then it's going to cut at 60 thousandths. And you can see it's adjusting the speed here. It adjusts the speed automatically as it goes around the corner. So there's a flat, and it goes straight there. But when it goes around a corner, it slows down automatically. Sheet cam does that automatically. So this all looks okay. So I guess we'll save that to a jump drive, and we'll go out to the plasma cutter. I'm out here at the plasma cutter now, and got my Bluetooth keyboard, and we're just going to drive it in here and set this to 0 right. Oh, I want to get right in the corner there. And oh, I guess that looks pretty good. So then we'll come over here, we'll 0 the X, 0 the Y. Z is already 0, although that wouldn't matter. And then I think that's all we got to do. I'm just going to hit Alt R here. It should take off and start going. We're going at 50 amps over there. And there we are with our one circle. Then we're going to do another circle. And there we go. So here's the part that just came out of the plasma cutter, and looks okay. It's got a little dross on it, so we'll just clean that dross off here a little bit. here. This is the tube that's got to fit in there, and it's pretty close. We'll call that a press fit. So that's that one. So I'm thinking those 1-inch ones are gonna be just a little bit tight. I got a piece of 1-inch rod here that we can do a test fit. Ooh, so that's a little tight. Let's go clean that up just a little bit. All right, so I got my air die grinder here. We'll just hit it a little bit. It's gonna take, oh, I think that's it. Let's do this side. A little bump right there where the lead in and lead out were. Oh, that one's loose now. Maybe this one here, we'll just hit that bump a little bit. Oh, that's, oh, I see, it's over there. Just a little burr on there. All right, so I think we got everything we need here. Let's go make some 1-inch pieces here that are going to fit the mandrel nice, and we'll cut those to length and put a little thread hole in there. Then we'll weld these parts on here. So I got my part cleaned up here, and we put it on there, and got a little bit of a problem. These holes, you look at the hole there, and I was thinking that was about 90 degrees, or that was 90 degrees, but I was wrong. It's not. When you get this thing on here, oh, that side's a little buggered up. Let's try it over here. When you get that one on there, as you can see, this hole doesn't line up. It's more than 90 degrees. And so we're gonna have to figure that out. We'll make this work. So we'll just cut another part. And the way that we'll measure this, since I don't have a way to accurately measure with a protractor, because I don't have a protractor, I'm going to try it like this. I'm going to measure the outside diameters here, and go with that. And it came a little bit off, but I've been getting pretty good measurements at 3.45 here. And so we're going to try that and put it in our SolidWorks and just see what angle SolidWorks tells us that is at 3.45, the distances here, and see how that works. All right, I got this in SolidWorks here, and let's open the part here and see if we can figure out what we need to change here. So this hole here, let's edit the sketch that's on. And you can see here that I've got one line that's vertical and one that's horizontal, because I thought it was 90 degrees, but obviously I was wrong. So let's take that vertical line out. I'm going to put a center line in from the middle of there to the center of there, although it won't let me measure from there to there. So I got to use I'm going to use a point here. I'm going to go on the intersection of that point there, and the intersection of that point there. I think that all looks okay. And now what I can do is set a dimension from that point to, ooh, oh, picked the wrong point. From that point to there. Okay. So we don't want that 3.24, we want that 3.45. And messes up some of the spacing right there. I think that's probably a little off. This stuff's probably all shifted around, but I don't think that matters. We just got to get this number here figured out. Well, let's go back there and see what the angle came out to be. So let's see the angle on this. We'll go up here to the tools, go to measure, 95.75 degrees. Well, that doesn't really help anything. Let's go back here. Yeah, that looks about how bad it's messed up there. I guess this one here, I probably, no, see, I didn't sketch that on the thing. So I think what we'll do here, we'll make this one not horizontal. We'll just do that same thing instead of, we could put the line on and use the assembly to, oh, did that one, see that one didn't end up on the intersection there. There we go, now we got it on the intersection. Alright, so now we can go here, go from there to there, so that's 3.45, I guess. And if we're a little off and we got to hit it with our die grinder and get it in there, I guess we can do that. Alright, well, I guess that's it. Let me save this again. Oh, let's go through that again. We'll save it. You know what I could do? Let's think about this. Which side should I cut it out of? If I cut it out of this side, ooh, you know what I could do? Let's cut it out of this side, and then that way it'll nest right into the other part that we cut out the last time. How about if I do that? Let's get normal. Let's see if that will work. Let's do a save as. I'm going to save as a DXF. I'm going to overwrite the Mandrel mount because that one got messed up. Alright, we'll do this face and we'll do all this here. And I think I'll just rotate this 180 degrees in the plasma cutter software. And oh wait, well, let me rotate here. No, and we'll nest it right in there. All right, so we'll be back with the plasma cutter software. Back in the plasma cutter software here, we're going to import our Mandrel drawing. The default settings here. Well, this looks okay. I think I can just come down here in the corner. Yes, and just rotate it around like that. That's easy enough. And we'll go through this thing again real quick here. Call that the outside. Call this the holes layer. We'll move this one to that layer. And we'll move this one to the holes layer. Check those real quick. We'll come down here. Inside offset first. I'm gonna keep that speed. We'll just keep everything the way it was. It cut just fine last time. Then we'll do the outside. And same thing there. My start point this time for the outside came up over here, which is fine. So this looks good. Let's post it. We'll overwrite the Mandrel tap here. And let's go cut that. Back out here at the plasma cutter for round 2 on the Mandrel mount. Let's see. Oh, I got to turn on my safety there. So what I want to do here, I think, is just see if I can nest this in here. Let's see where this is going to go. I think that looks pretty good. Let's zero this and zero that. Let me turn off my plasma cutter for now, because we're going to dry run it here. And let's see what happens. Starting with the first circle here. All right. Whoa, it's going to go off the edge there. We're going to have to move it over. Whoa, yeah, we're going to have to move it over. All right. So that's not a good 0, 0 point. We want to move over there and up to about maybe there. Let's try that. Zero that. Let's turn this on. And oh, yeah, everything looks okay. Alt R, and here we go. All right. And there she is. Let's go clean it up. Okay, so there's the old one. Here's the new one. And let's try it out here. So, for some reason that doesn't fit in that hole. I don't know why. It'll fit in this one though. So that one, I'm just going to use this bushing for a 1 inch outside diameter here. And you can see it's lined up pretty good here. Let's see if the bushing will... No. Oh man, that is close. It's close. We should have gone 3.50 maybe. 3.47. But I think it's close enough. I'm going to stretch it. I'll just oh, actually it looks like we went maybe a little too far. Well, I don't know. Gosh, that feels good. I'm just gonna hit that with a die grinder and just make this hole bigger, and that's hopefully gonna work. I'm gonna do that a little bit. So this fits, and I think that 3.45 was the right size. Just had to grind that hole with the die grinder out because it's centered just right on there, and that just slips down in there, and then we got a little fit, so that'll fit in there. So I'm going to make the two steel parts that'll fit on here, and they'll thread down and lock down on there, and we'll weld that on there, and we'll get it on the lathe. Part right here, and that is so this piece of steel is 1.5 inches thick. So I'm going to make my piece 1.5 inches plus the thickness of this material, which ended up being 3/16, not a quarter. And well, actually I'm going to leave a little bit out so that when I put a nut on there and pull it down with a big washer, fender washer, it'll pull down tight. So I'll make the part about 1.5 inches long. I guess will be just fine. We'll get to the lathe and try that. At the lathe here, and just getting the final setup here. Let's see, let's start on low. Alright, that looks good. So let's. I would use a center drill. Oh, I'm gonna have to use a center drill. I was gonna say it doesn't really matter that much, but that was horrible. Let's put a center drill on there quick. So I'm gonna put a 1/4-20 hole in here, or a 1/4-20 screw. So I'm gonna put 13/64 is the drill bit that I'm gonna use. The real size is I think it's a 201 is what they say is a drill size for that. Oh, look at that, even the center drill is having trouble putting it in the center, but it doesn't really matter in this case. And I am gonna, but I don't have a 201. I have a 13/64, which is about 203 thousandths or so. That'll be good enough. Put that in there. We'll start on 1/2 inch mark there. I can't go all the way in or it pushes my chuck out. So we'll go in here, running at a speed of, what are we at, 460 here. I could go a lot faster, I can see, but that's okay. We'll just do it like this. So there's a 1/2 inch depth. We'll go, we don't have to go all the way through. I don't think we will. We'll just go to 1 inch depth. That's way deeper than we need to go. Oh, looks like my tailstock slid on me because it wasn't quite 1 inch. Let's see what our real depth is. About 3/4 of an inch. That'll be fine. Pull that back out to about 1/2. Let's turn that off. Let's cut this off. What did we say? We're going to go 1.5 inches. We'll go about there. Let me go back here. We'll start here. So 8 turns an inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4 for a 1/2 inch. And does that look like 1.5 inches? Check if that's 1.5 inches. And it is right at 1.5 inches. Okay, so we'll fire this up. 460 RPMs it looks like. We'll get a little lube on there. It's just regular oil. Looks okay. Ooh, my bit isn't very sharp. We'll just have to keep putting oil on it. And there we go. So I'm here trying to put some threads in this thing. I tried doing it with my Dremel tool, or my DeWalt drill here. And this sometimes works, but I just can't get it on there tight enough to get it to make threads. So I'm just going to use it. I'm just going to do it with the old-fashioned way, with a wrench. So got my 2 parts here I made, and they fit right in there. And then this needs to go right on top here. And it goes on there, and that looks good. And then I got, didn't have a single fender washer that'd make it work, but then that's gonna get threaded down in there, and that'll clamp that on there. And then from the back side, then this tube will be stuck on the back side of here, and then that's what I'll grab a hold of in the lathe, and then I'll be able to drill this hole bigger or bore that out bigger in the lathe, and then I'll be able to put a key stock in there. I'll be able to get a hold of this thing, because the whole point of all this is I couldn't grab a hold of this thing in the lathe. But let's go over to the welder and weld these parts on, and then we'll get back to the lathe. I'm over here at the TIG welder. Started welding one on here and it went on okay. I'm just gonna tack this on in 2 places, and I'm using the Mandrel as a guide to line everything up on here. And I'll just put it on there, get it hot. The other one I didn't get too hot, because I just wanted to tack it on there. So that's pretty good. Spin this around. Got a couple of little spacers underneath here holding these things up a little bit. So that's what's holding that. So we'll just rock it back and forth till we find the center, and if we're off by a few thousandths, that doesn't matter, because this thing isn't even going to spin an entire revolution in the bender. Obviously, the biggest bend it'll ever make is 180 degrees. So if it's off a little bit, a few thousandths on that center hole, that's not going to be a big deal at all. And let's see if we got this hole in the center now. This will be a bigger test if we got this one in the center. Let's give it a quick little bump. Oh gosh, that just looks like it's gonna hit, but it doesn't. So let's look at that. So we're a little off, but I think that's gonna be fine. I think, let me get my boring bar on here, which is right here. I'm gonna get this on here and get it all set up, and we'll come back here in a few minutes and see how that all looks. Well, I forgot. We got to weld that thing on there all the way. It's just tacked on there. So we'll get this thing off of here, and we'll go back over here to the welder and we'll finish welding this and then put it on there. I'm attaching my fender washers, which I drilled out some holes a little bit bigger here. They were for 1032s, but now they're for 1/420s. I'm attaching these fender washers on here to those little knobs that I threaded, welded on there. Make sure that that stays on there good, and it does as everything falls off the lathe. So that's on there good. And the boring bar, I decided I wasn't going to use this long boring bar. I decided I was going to use this one. And so let's change that out here. That was already loose. Get that loosened. That one's pretty loose too. This bar I bought specifically, that's what we're going to use to put in that, that keyway here in just a little bit that you'll see. After I get my boring bar set up here, and that looks okay there. Okay, so that feels pretty good. Let's run that in. We'll run this in. That looks pretty good there. Let's, oh, it looks like this may come around and hit right there. Let's see if that's gonna be the case. No, not there, but let's see, once I drive that in all the way, is it gonna hit? No. Oh man, is that close? Look at that. Missing by probably a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch maybe right there. And it looks like it's going to go all the way and clear everywhere. All right. Well, oh, I'm going to hit the screw right there, the screw head, but I'll be through the thing long before that. So that's only as deep as it's got to go right there. And so I think that looks good. So let's get everything set up to get a measurement on this, and we'll get this thing kissed off here. I got the boring bar in here, and we just need to get the boring bar zeroed up here. So as you can see, it didn't quite come out centered as far as round, but since this tool is not going to turn very fast, obviously, and it's only going to turn a maximum of 180 degrees, the fact that it's not centered or not round isn't going to hurt us one bit. So I think, gosh, I can't quite tell since it's out around there. There, we're getting a little rub right there. So we'll go to 0 here on my old mechanical readout lathe. Back this out a little bit. So we got to let's see, we want to go to 1 1/8 inches, and we're at 1 inch. So that means we got to take off 125 thousandths. We're going to go backwards here, so we're at 250 thousandths if you're looking at this going backwards. And we're going to back up. We want to end up here at 125. I'm going to take off about, I don't know, this many thousandths first. Let's just see how it starts to cut here. Oh, I don't want to use that one. I'll come up on this one. So there we go. We're getting a little cut. All right, so this is going to take a while. But we'll be back here in a little bit, and after we finish this off. On the lathe here, I had to switch the boring bar. That other boring bar wasn't stiff enough, so this boring bar is a lot stiffer. And so we're coming up right on about 1.1 inches right now. And I'm just using the auto feed here. I got my auto feed set over here. I'm on 6 thousandths per revolution. I got it set on B and C and R and P here. So I got B and C and P and R, and I'm engaged here, and we're just slowly working our way down there. This is just the beginning of the hole here, so we're gonna have to go all the way through our 1.5 inch material here. I guess we're about quarter way through, or 1/4 of an inch into there. So we got another inch to go, or 1.25 inches to go on this pass, and then we'll do our final pass at 125 at 1.125, and we'll give it a little bit of clearance after that, and we'll see if it fits the shaft. We'll be back here in a little bit. All right, I think we should be just done with our final pass here. We'll turn off our auto feed and run this back, and I think we're ready for our first test fit here. Yeah, it looks like it went all the way through. Let's get this out of here. And I'm gonna leave all these dials and everything where it is, and just in case we have to throw it back on there. But let's see here. Oh, I guess we're gonna have to put it back on there. Oh boy, is that close. That is a snug fit. It's on there, but it's just a little... Oh wait, maybe I'll go with it. It's on there. Wow, that's about the snuggest fit I've ever put on something. But I guess we'll try it. Let's go with that, and we'll come back in a few minutes here, and well, I guess I think we're ready to put on the Keyway. Let's put it back in the lathe, and let's start the Keyway. Get that back in there. And let's see here. Yeah, all right, so we're back in there. So let me get set up for that, and we'll be back here in a minute. Do the keyway. All right, I think we're ready to look at the way I'm going to broach this. Or I'm not going to use a broach. I'm going to put the keyway in with a boring bar. First thing I've done is set this to low, and I'm not going to turn this on. So this is pretty well stuck there. And I've set the height here, so I'm just touching here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this out about 3/1000ths or so each pass, and then I'm just going to run it by there and just do that. So we're going to go about 3/1000ths there, run it by, and do that. Another 3/1000ths or so. The reason I picked 3/1000ths is that's what they do on a regular broach. Is each tooth on a broach is about 3/1000ths bigger than the next one. And so we're just cutting through here, and this will just take a little while, and we got to go in there about I don't know, about 130/1000ths or so, and that should be fine. So we took 2 passes on that one. I'll take 3 more thousandths there, and we'll just I'm just gonna keep going here and come back when I'm getting close to finishing. Just getting finished with the that boring bar. We're gonna do a test fit here. This is my key I'm gonna use, and that looks like it's gonna be pretty good. Looks like maybe we're maybe a touch bit deep on there, but I think it'll be just fine. So let's test fit this bugger. Let's see here. So we'll take this. So it fits like that. Okay, that's nice. I like that. I guess we got to get that thing off of there. My screwdriver. I'll just unscrew this from here, unscrew it from here. Oh, let's see if the thing will come off of there. Okay, so that's wedged on there. Not sure why. Let me see what I can do to get that off of there. Well, that just took a couple of taps to get that off with a hammer. It was just on there pretty snug. So let's try this. Let me get this on here. Oh boy, is that a snug fit there. Put our keyway in there. Oh, and that's a snug fit too. Holy cow. I like that. I think that's gonna work. Looks good.